So a lot of questions, a lot of comments came in over the last week, particularly surrounding the video that I did breaking down how I build a workout program. So in this video, I'm going to be answering comments and questions that came in from all the videos that were posted during the week of 11/5/2018 on my channel. So the first video that I want to start off with, right out the gate, is going to be the video titled How DeLauer Builds a Workout Program, Joe Rogan Inspired. So this video is all about how I build a workout program. It broke down my 80% principle and how I pretty much do a full body split every single day, but I have different emphasis on different body parts depending on what day I'm in. So it's like I'm still doing full body, but I focus on one body part more than the others on each respective day. So the first question that comes in was from Preston Martinez. Preston says, does this not conflict with the notion that you should allow rest for body parts before working them again? Is it because being under the 80% rule minus the emphasis for that day, you can work full body and not overtrain? Preston, you pretty much nailed it. So my philosophy was that at 80% is where everything starts to happen in terms of damage that really requires a lot of recovery. If you can keep it under 80%, then yeah, you can get away with training a little bit more and you're not going to overtrain nearly as much. That was my whole point in breaking down like the intensity, the frequency, all those different variables are what actually add up to this. So if those variables are down below 80%, then you're in the clear to train it again, generally. I mean, it doesn't always apply. You might have other external factors that make you more sore. The next question comes from Brian Witt. Brian says, do you still work out the muscle group that you put emphasis on the next workout, or do you rest until soreness fades? I love full body workouts, but I stay sore too long and I'm in the gym for an hour and a half lifting. So the short answer with this is you do want to try to make sure that you're not sore. The hope is that if you're training under that 80%, that you're not going to be sore. But if you're sore, I'm not a fan of training again. Even though soreness doesn't directly equate to how hard you worked a muscle, it's just not fun to train in that fashion. Next question comes to him, Brad Kunkel. He says, I thought that most of your growth comes from resting 24 to 48 hours after a workout. Protein synthesis stays elevated for 24 hours after a workout. So it's not necessarily your growth. Protein synthesis is elevated immediately after a workout through the mammalian target of rapamycin, which is mTOR, but also a couple other different anabolic pathways. So you're fine there. Ivan Zavov says, is this method good for gaining strength, increasing muscle size, or for both? In my opinion, it works great for both. So it works great if you're trying to improve performance, but also if you're trying to build more muscle because you're getting more growth cycles. Josh Strong writes, how do you feel about CrossFit for muscle building and overall strength? Okay, so CrossFit is great for conditioning, but CrossFit isn't exactly the best when it comes down to muscle building or for actual fat loss either, simply because you're mixing this aerobic and anaerobic so much that you're never able to really optimize one particular area. It's great for overall conditioning though. That's why so much of the military and law enforcement relies on it. Definitely not saying CrossFit's bad. It's just not always the best for body composition. Jody says, could you expand on what exactly a full body workout looks like? Are we talking one exercise per body part with emphasis on the muscle of the day being 2, 3, 5 different exercises? Love your videos and the passion you have in explaining fitness and nutrition. New favorite channel. Jody, it all depends on the person. Usually it's going to be like 2 to 4 sets. You know, if I'm hitting it every day, I don't need to be doing that much volume. That's kind of the variable there. Volume is the variable. You can adjust that. On your emphasis day, you might want to go heavy, heavy volume on chest or heavy, heavy volume on legs. That's just all up to you. That's your prerogative. Let's see, Defender X says, if you train full body 80% of RPE without an emphasis, will your majority muscle groups recover as fast as your minor muscle groups? That depends on the person. Honestly, generally speaking, I would say they probably would. Mark E. Mark says, so you can work out 7 days a week this way. No, I wouldn't suggest that. Honestly, I would still suggest giving yourself at least 1 active recovery day, if not 2. You know, I'm usually a 5 to 6 day a week kind of guy. And even on my 7th day, it's still an active recovery. I'm still out hiking or doing something, throwing the baby in the pack so that I can, you know, get an extra workout while I'm hiking up a mountain or something. All right, let's go into the next video. This was another really good video. It was a great week on the channel. You guys made this totally possible. This was why coffee after a workout helps fat loss and performance. It was mainly referencing a pretty cool study that found that caffeine coming into your body post-workout actually increases carbohydrate uptake, whether you're keto or not. So AB says, how much carbs with how much caffeine should we take after a workout, and how much time should we wait after a workout? I'm a big fan of riding the wave a little bit. So like 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes after a workout before you consume anything. So I'd say at that point, just go ahead and go with like 100 milligrams of caffeine. And if you're keto, you don't need many carbs, maybe 10, 15 grams of carbs. If you're not keto, honestly, maybe 30 to 40. El Monkey Super Freak says, that's a cool name, says, how long after we finish our workout should we consume caffeine? Is there an optimal window? Kind of answered in the last question, but basically about an hour. Chris Manning says, in an earlier video, you say that you shouldn't eat for an hour to an hour and a half after you work out to allow you to get optimal HGH, human growth hormone benefits. In this video, you say eat right after you work out. Which one is it? No, I'm not saying eat right after you work out. I'm saying you can have caffeine right after you work out. Eating, go ahead and extend it however long you need to. Alexius Indrian says, so should we consume caffeine right after? Yes. The Fuquit says, what dosage of caffeine? 100 milligrams. AJ Octave says, I just wanted to ask about developing a caffeine resistance. Should I cycle off caffeine every few weeks? That's a really good question. Okay, if you consume caffeine with theanine or you consume caffeine with theacrine, which I've talked about in other videos, you actually stop that entire resistance process, no habituation. So try taking caffeine with a little bit of theacrine. That can help a lot. You can just Amazon that. Okay, the next video, Keto Sweeteners, the list of approved and not approved. This video did really, really well and raised a lot of questions. I thought I covered a lot of the sweeteners, but apparently I still missed some. So let's go ahead and break them down. Dymo28 says, hasn't there been recent research showing that stevia is bad for your gut bacteria? I have seen a couple things on that, but it's fairly inconclusive. So sucralose is definitely bad for your gut bacteria. Stevia is still kind of showing some interesting things. There's glycosides, which actually can promote good bacteria. So it might throw off your gut bacteria and kind of the equilibrium there, but it's not necessarily killing bacteria. Sandy Adams says, saccharin has been around forever. What about it? There are studies that show that saccharin is a carcinogen. I would just throw away those little pink packets. Jason Simpson says, what about acesulfame potassium? You're good to go on keto. It's still a poison. I still wouldn't recommend it, much like aspartame, but you're okay on keto with it. Tanya S. says, I've been looking for a substitute for honey in baking or syrup over keto-friendly waffles or pancakes, mixing the syrup with sugar-free maple flavoring. The products I've tried all contain, in my opinion, things that raise my blood glucose more than I'd like. Would food-grade glycerol be a better option? Yeah, you could totally use glycerol, just don't go overboard on it. Actually, that same company, Lakanto, that I mentioned in that video, actually has a maple syrup. That's monk fruit based. Sabine says, you posted a video in September of this year talking about sweeteners on keto and said that stevia could actually be bad for keto and that you should avoid all sweeteners whenever possible. But in this one, you say it's okay for keto. Which one is it? Okay, so no, you raise a good point, and I mentioned it in this video too. Like honestly, I talk about getting off sort of the methadone. If you don't need the sweetener, don't use them. But the fact is, we're all human, we all like a sweet treat now and then. So regular consumption, I would recommend just getting your taste buds adapted to not having the sweeteners all the time. Andrew Savage says, so Thomas, is erythritol okay in your black coffee during intermittent fasting besides keto? Or will erythritol break your fast? So that's a good question, and I'd say you'd have to test yourself out with that in terms of ketone production and stuff like that. So when I'm fasting, I try to keep them out whenever possible. I think a little bit of erythritol is okay, a little bit of stevia is okay, but as always, try to do what you can to just keep it with absolutely no sweet response whatsoever. So we'll continue to do these. I love breaking down the videos and giving you the answers to your comments. It's my way of being able to give back to the channel a little bit more, add a personal touch, but also make sure that you guys are commenting on the videos that I'm posting. That way we can create a community out of this and we can get a bunch of questions answered in the process as well. So keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.